What is going on, everybody? TubeHop29 is back in the lounge yet again, this time with the fifth volume of the Round Table Podcast. So please make sure to kick back, relax, grab those snacks, and enjoy the stay. This time I've got a gorgeous crew with me yet again, and we've got a lot to talk about. Just to quickly go off and list everybody's names so that you can get familiar with their voice. I'm going to just introduce them by their name. They're going to tell you who they are and where they're from, and we'll get this bad boy started. So, first up with me, again, from the depths of not having played this game for a year yet, we have Bunders 2024.
Hello, yeah, I'm Bunders from TNM. Like Bob says, no player to the game, and looking forward to the podcast this week.
Always thrilled to have Bunders with us. Coming live from Electricianville, where he is not allowed to work on his own home, and I think that's an absolute travesty. We have the one and only 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that, Evolution X.
Release the shackles and fix the Brutus. I'm here.
Next up, certainly not a weak spot on the podcast, but it is his first time around. Very thrilled to have him joining us today. The old Duckster, McDuck, joins us.
Hey guys, good to be here. McDuck, I'm in TNM, and I look forward to chatting with everyone today.
And of course, last but certainly not least, in each and every one of our hearts, the heart and soul of what has brought back the podcast, the one, the only, the South Side Envy.
Southside Envy from You're on the List, and in the famous words of Jesse from Full House, have mercy.
God, I'm always thrilled when you're on, Envy. It's great. For those of you that are aware, we ended up losing a little bit of the old content from 2 weeks ago. The second part of the podcast went poof, unfortunately, and into the ether. My computer did not have enough space to make enough changes, I guess, to the original audio file, and it's just gone. And so instead of going over all of that content yet again, what we will discuss is we'll just discuss the new MLC as a whole. I think it's an interesting enough topic still with the pig boy, with the rabbit, with the buzzard. We can go over the Rowan rework if we would like, and a couple of the nerfs that did happen. I think it's helpful to kind of look into the month as a whole, the perspective on it. We'll get our thoughts on Abby the Witch a little bit later on. As well as the moments that have found their way into the game. We can talk about the moments here. I think now it kind of makes sense because of them being implemented and because we're talking about all the characters here. So I'm curious in general what everyone's thoughts on the We're Here MLC is. Not the events that we've had so far, which is, Rocky was kind of week 1 and Turtles is week 2, which we'll get into, and this web portal thing on week 3, which again, we will definitely get into. But as a whole, were you really looking forward to this We're Here MLC? I know they had their cryptogram thing that we talked about, which was definitely, I think from my perspective, kind of cool that they did something new. But I feel like the delivery on these characters really just fell flat. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like this month as a whole isn't really living up to the hype. And they're bringing in all the heavy hitters to make this feel like it's supposed to be a good or rewarding month for like big spenders. Because without Tech Rocky, without the Turtles, this month just feels real bleh, especially after the Zombies month that we just had, where they all had these amazing entourage abilities. That were pretty much dupes from what happened over a year ago when Zombie Gunther first came out. I'm just not really impressed by any of these characters. Are any of you?
It feels like they were overshadowed by the mini events we've had with the Turtles and the Rocky event. And it kind of doesn't make it feel like an MLC to me. It makes it feel more like I don't know. They're just kind of white noise in the background, and the other two events have definitely overshadowed it this month, in my opinion.
So do you think that like any of these characters are ones that you'll use after this month, Duck?
Probably not, to be honest with you. Like, I could see like a potential move damage build for Rowan going forward, but I mean that's gonna last short term, like all move damage builds do. Like long term, I don't really see. I mean, obviously, we still don't know what Howdy's gonna look like. I'm sure he's coming next week,
Right.
but that could change things, I guess. But I don't think so. No, probably not.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use him on anyone else really either, for the most part.
As like a trainer coach, right?
Yeah, I mean, last month I'm using all of those people, and this month I don't think I'm going to use any of them after this month's over.
Yeah.
But I, for one, am shocked that anybody isn't excited about road breaks. Let's blow up that board, baby.
I think the thing is, Envy, if we had like a Titan plate for row breaks, maybe, right? And
Oh, it's coming.
we just pretty much got one in the form of the Pig Boy skill plate, but it's a 50%er, not a 200%er. Yeah, I don't know.
To be honest, this MLC, if to start with, if my wallet could tap, it's been tapping, and it quit. I'm trying to keep myself in it, but I love. I mean, I don't know. I like the cards. I like the Rowan with the move damage. We don't have. I mean, our last big male move damage. We have from the bloodline, Tama. And I don't know if anyone's going to be using him moving forward because of the influx of tricks we got. But I kind of like Rowan. But with the availability of strikers, he's not going to make the cut. Mercy's great. He's quick. He's just as fast as any other top technician right now. And it's just he's multis. So you got to pick your poisons with who you want to use with that. I like him. And what's her name? Sister Abby? She's the best female powerhouse in the game, hands down. Quick, easy, 99 MP proof. She'll be good after 99 MP. So I'm good with all that. I just think they've been overloading the mini event and not focusing on the MLC. That's my big issue.
Yeah, I think the consensus here is probably that the MLC feels secondary, and we're recording this on the 23rd of November, so we're definitely past the halfway point in the month, and the entire monthly contest just feels like it's an afterthought. Is kind of sad. Go ahead, Bunders. I think you wanted to leave your commentary on this one.
Yeah, so I agree with Duck. The mini events do very much overshadow the MLC in general, but I do disagree with the characters. I really like them from quite a few standpoints. I think nobody's pointed out so far, and I know it's only a minor thing, but it is a video game after all, and the artwork on all of the characters has been outstanding so far. So I think that's worth pointing out. I really like the look of them in game and some of the animations as well, like Mercy the Buzzard's finisher. Well, not finisher. Once he's won, he does his little celebration. That's awesome to watch. So little things like that I quite like within the game. But as characters, like Evo said, I haven't used Abby. I haven't got her, so I've only watched videos. But she does look really, really good. She's got like 3 1 MP moves that mean that she basically doesn't need MP trainers at all, which means that she is going to be good for a long time. Mercy the Buzzard looks really good. Again, I haven't got him, so I've only watched videos, but I'd say if not a top tier technician, then very close. He's going to be maybe just under your Julius's, and he really is, but he's pretty close to them. And yeah, Rowan, I love Rowan. I'm a massive Rowan advocate. I said it on the last podcast. anyone that you can just go into a match, 2-click and win within a few seconds, I'm all for that. And we've tested him after 99 MP, and he still does 65 million. So he's still 99 MP proof, if you like.
I just want to jump in real quick with that before I forget that you mentioned Rowan. The rework moment too is outstanding. He is fun. He's quick. He's not the fastest or the best powerhouse to use if you want to scale him out, but man, what a good rework on that card. I really like that card too.
Yeah, I know we kind of touched base on that last one, and unfortunately, again, it kind of just got deleted. But what's everyone's thoughts on the reworked Rowan? I know that he had a couple of nerfs, but I really don't think that it stopped him from being efficient at all.
Yeah, it's, the nerfs were inevitable because he was too good, but I really like the fact that they're reworking old cards. As a newer player to the game, it means that they're not just collectibles, if you like. You can actually go and use them, and it is quite fun to use them. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know I joked about it when I posted the video, like, because I posted it right away when I took him up. I mean, he had to be nerfed. He can't be that good as a pre-existing or free card compared to the other MLC characters. So he's still like very good though. He's 3 clicks. It's very quick. A little bit of risk that you miss the board, but not much. So yeah, I think overall he's still very fun to use.
Just at 6-star, he can get it done in Showdown, especially if you got the Judgment Day plate and throw out that countdown gem. Oh, you just recycle and blow up the board and get it done. I like him.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a very helpful addition to a lot of rosters out there that might have been struggling with their powerhouse game. I know a lot of the top end powerhouses kind of need a lot, right? Whether they're an expensive character to have gotten all together, or they need, fancy trainers, skill plates, gears, whatever it might be. Maybe it's just me. I don't really think he needs all that much. And so he kind of gets away with being a consistently good character for a lot of accounts out there. And then to pile on top of it, if you are someone that does have, I'm not going to call it the whaley things, but if you're someone that has the bells and whistles, right, he gets even better. So I find it very impressive that even post 2 nerfs, that he's still as good as he actually is. It's very impressive.
And he's by far the best entourage ability of the month so far.
Yeah,
that entourage is awesome. Yeah,
that revamped ability is very, very good. That additional multi-gem damage is going to go a long way for a lot of characters in this game, for sure. So yeah, once again, very impressive improvement on the freebie character this month. I think when they first did that whole 6-star gold thing, and Ozzy was the first one, that left a lot of people very hopeful. And then they came back and hit us with the Rosie, and that kind of left people really upset. And then they decided to bring back Gunther, and I think that was a huge one for a lot of players out there. And not only did everyone get Gunther, but he got an improved entourage ability as well. The fact that they brought Rowan out, super, super impressive. Not only did they bring him out, not only did they bring him back for a lot of people that didn't have him before, they revamped him. And not only did they revamp him as a trainer, but they revamped him as a fighter as well. And I think that's what's so significant here. So very, very huge improvements there, at least from my perspective. So kudos to Scopely on getting this one right after the horrible, horrible Rosie month.
I think that change in general, though, Bob, has been pretty well received by the whole community in terms of being able to get a free 6-star gold character just playing the game for the full month. You might not be able to get as far as 6-star gold, but 6-star bronze is realistic for just about everybody. And in general, they've been pretty good characters when you look at Ozzy and Rowan and I know Rosie was not so great, but it's still, for people that didn't have him, he offers something, I guess.
I'm hoping that the Rosie month was the outlier instead of the norm, and that we've just that we had that as a one-off instead of all of these being the one-off. That's kind of where I'm hoping, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, look, I definitely get where a lot of you are coming from. I can see Rowan having some solid benefit as a move damage guy moving forward. I don't know that he's my personal play type, just because I don't really want to deal with the possibility of a cascade in order to charge the finisher to be loaded for a 60 million damage finisher, even 70 million with all the perfect bells and whistles and stuff. That's just a me thing, obviously. Mercy the Buzzard feels, and maybe this is a better comparison, instead of being like useless or that I'm not going to use him after this month. I feel like I said this when we had the new Bloodline month and we were talking about Solo. Does Solo work? Yeah, Solo works. Can he work? Sure, he can work. There's no problem with it. Is there a reason for you to make him work? Not really, to be honest. That's kind of where the issue is. That's where I feel Mercy is at currently. I feel like, yeah, he can work. Do I really need him to work? No. If he's going to be my multi-gem technician guy, I've already got somebody else in the game like Dragunov who probably does what he does better. And maybe Mercy's more accessible than Dragunov because it's a 3K versus a 5K recruit. And if that's the case, I totally understand that too, and I get that. It's just for me at a point of like, do I really need to work this guy up, get these new moments, get these new trainers, coaches, straps, skill plates, for this guy to also do the same thing that I'm already going to have someone on my roster doing? And that's kind of where the hang up, I guess, for me is when it comes to Buzzard. Will he work? Sure. Do I really think that there's a need for him to be on my roster like that? Honestly, not really, no. And I was going to save my thoughts in regards to Abby a little bit later, but we can touch base on that too. I think that she's fantastic. I think she's arguably the best powerhouse female in the game for sure. She's got a lot of 1 MP charges. She's going to be good for Showdown whenever female is the lead because she doesn't need MP to be charged and loaded for turn 1. I haven't really taken a full-on look in regards to how strong she's going to be post 99, but from what I'm hearing, she's going to be very good. So I'm excited to see if there's a way that I can get her this month. But not really losing too much sleep over it because she's not a zombie, so hopefully there's a way of getting her in the future. It just doesn't seem feasible with the event, with how to go about getting her, but we'll touch base on that a little bit later when we talk about the event. It feels very zombie LA Knight-ish to me, which I was not a fan of that one. I know a lot of players in the community were not a fan of how much that one cost. So we'll touch base on the Flash Feud event towards the end here.
Just real quick, you know what you don't have, Bob, on your
What's up?
technician roster? The creepiest finishing animation ever. That is, I love, and that is Mercy the Buzzard. So
Yes, this
There you
is
go.
true. This is true. Like you have said, like Bunders has said, Mercy's, and I hate to say this because it sounds so silly, Mercy's best asset is probably the fact that he's got this super creepy winning animation. That's probably his best asset, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely cool stuff. I am definitely looking forward to getting all these characters on my account. I just don't. I guess it's maybe just a me thing. I don't think that I'm going to be using them very much afterwards. We can also touch base on the moments too. So they came out with a couple of moments actually. They came out with a moment that everybody got for free. That's right, free. That was a shocker to a lot of us. But we did get the moment for free. All you need is, I think, 4 characters. Is that the magic number? I think it's
Yeah, for
yeah, it's Pig Boy, it's Rowan, it's Mercy, and then one of the other 2. So yeah, 4 characters to unlock it. So it's on everybody's account. I'm curious how that's going to like work in the future. So if you weren't logged in during that time, do you just log in and have that moment on your account? What happens if you make like a new account? If you're a new player, do you just log in and
Yeah.
have that moment on your account?
You do get it. I can attest because I've got the Ghostbusters moment, and obviously I didn't play in any of the Ghostbusters time. So
Interesting. Okay, but that's the first moment, which is a freebie moment. The secondary moment, which was part of this absolutely horrible midweek spend event, was the spender moment, which is the Wyatt Six versus American Made, which is all the Wyatt Six characters and the 3 American Made characters, which is Chad Gable and the 2 Creed brothers. Very row break centric moments for gem damage and generating more of them. The Wyatt 6 moment altogether gives a little bit of some multi gem boost, gives them a little bit of black gem damage. Both moments combined for 100% all gem defense. So definitely very interesting stuff if you are an armor user, someone like myself. Could see a lot of use in some of these movements moving forward, especially if these characters get a built-in 100% armor. And this is not just like, and I know this has been brought up in the past where, there's a couple of characters that overlap moments and have 100% armor. This is the entire stable. That's going to be really impressive if you have both of these moments, that the entire Wyatt 6 is going to just have 100% armor built in. It's pretty odd compared to what they would normally do. Any thoughts in regards to the moments that surround these characters, and if you feel that they necessarily make or break them? Are they gonna keep you using these characters moving forward? So kind of to touch base on it, I know that we were talking about Rowan's move damage set. I don't think any of this helps his move damage. Whereas a lot of this row break stuff feels like it definitely helps Abby the Witch. Does this help Buzzard stay relevant past the monthly with the multi-gem bonuses? Does this help Pig Boy become someone that you might use? Do the moments really make that much of a difference to anybody out there?
Well, let me just say, I was so excited to get that free moment that I forgot I had it. So, while I wasn't originally destined to get Abby the Witch, now I'm locked in, so more bad decisions to come.
Any other thoughts?
I think getting the moment for free was a good thing. Obviously, like anything that they're going to give you for free is great. It is something that is likely going to take time to unlock and be able to use, because a lot of the community are not going to get 4 of the Wyatts this month. But ultimately, when you do unlock those 4, that moment is going to be available to you. So it isn't a problem that you might have to wait for it. This game is built on patient play after all. It's not a immediate success type game. So it was a good moment to get. I think that it does make definitely one of the moments really improves Abby, because it gives her 10 extra row breaks, and one of the moments I think it mostly improves Mercy the Buzzard. So I think obviously we don't know about Howdy, but those 2 will benefit most from those, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's anything for free in this game is a blessing for the most part, because they don't give anything really. But the one thing to note with the moment, as I did get it myself, is the fact that you're going to need 4 6-stars too to unlock the full capability of that moment. Even as the moment was only 5 probably in there, so we'll see how that goes. And then I think we're underplaying Mercy the Buzzard a little bit with that moment. It's a pretty quick 3-click triple green multiply guy. Offhand, I can't think of too many green multiply guys other than Waller as Showboat, right? And then is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Not that I know of. No.
No, can't think of one.
So I mean, when boss comes around and we need a male green multiply guy, he's not. It's only 2 rows, but they're big ones. So there's some value there, and it's quick, easy, very little. There's no cascade risk. So, and again, that finisher is crazy. So yeah, I do like the moment. They could have knocked it down to like 3 out of 6, because 3 6-stars to max it out, but I'm picking at that point.
Chat's chiming in with Punk, Zombie Dom, and Tech Cody as some of the multi-green characters. Just FYI, Eva.
Z Sammy too. He's got that green red green build that lays all those multis.
This is true. Yeah. Thoughts on the moments, Duck?
I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I don't have a problem if they're gonna put it in my account for free, and maybe the answer is I don't get it this month. I mean, that's fair. Not everyone's gonna get everything right away. And the other one seems pretty expensive to me, to be honest with you, versus the value you get. And I'm not really a fan of something that's locked just behind portal spend. I wish there was some sort of way to get it through the game itself. That's my one feedback on it. But no, I don't really have a problem with them. If they're going to put it in my account and maybe I get it later, that's fine. I think that's fair. And the spend one, it just seems really pricey, and I'm not a big fan of the portal blocking of it. But other than that, yeah, fine.
Yeah, Duck brings up a point that I want to kind of harp on a little bit. The fact that so we get this free moment that gets +4 multis, and it does does some stuff for most of them. This other moment that they left behind a $900 price tag or RNG in a loot is absolute trash. It's 50% armor and maybe and helps Abby a little bit with a build that you're probably not going to use, to be honest with you. So it's just that's the Scopely way of being very confusing to me.
Yeah, I didn't want to necessarily personally be the one guy to start complaining about it, but I think if you know me and if you know my gameplay, the one thing that I think I chase more than anything else in this game is probably the moments. I have had every single moment in the game for a long time. I spent an obscene amount of money during Technician CM Punk's induction weekend so I could get the sensational Sherry feud moment, which is just absolutely mediocre levels of improvements for everyone in that moment. And when I say obscene money, I mean obscene money. This wasn't like, this wasn't even remotely close to obtainable for me. Nor was it even remotely worth it. And again, I'm not trying to say this as like, I'm a whale and all this type of stuff. I like to be able to play characters at their full capacity and their full potential. And I feel like moments enable that and they allow for that. But the amount of money that was required for this to be locked behind this $900 spend point on the portal was absolutely asinine. Or maybe you get lucky and you hit it in the loot, which you don't. You just don't. Really frustrating. Really frustrating for someone like me, who, I'm not going to say prides themselves, but who enjoys being able to use characters at their full potential. And going into the rest of this month, it's like, yeah, there's no shot. There's just none. I know there was talks about how 4 or 5 people maxed out the portal event. That was a different portal event. There was 2 people. There's a grand whopping total of 2 people who broke $900 on the portal to get the moment. That moment isn't worth it. That moment isn't even remotely close to being worth it. And on top of that, that doesn't include the amount of money that you need to spend to get all these characters. Like, I'm not going to just walk away with Abby this weekend just because I want to and just because I played the game. Those days are so long gone, it's ridiculous. But if I have to spend crazy money to get the character and even crazier money to get a moment, like, you've lost me. You've lost me on the entire concept of the month, of this we're here monthly, and it already leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth of, well, do I really even care? And that's kind of where I'm at, I think. It's kind of like, do I really even care about this month? To piggyback on Duck's earlier point and Evo's earlier point, these non-MLC events have been more priority than the MLC events because the MLC events just leave you feeling bad.
Yeah, all my spend this month has been on the mini events. I didn't do anything outside of that towards this month's stuff. Granted, I mean, I got lucky because I bag pulled Rowan week 1, but like the rest of it, I know I'll get them when I get them. But it's just confusing marketing too. Like, it's either confusing, like sloppy, or lazy marketing. Because there's no reason that these two moments should be so far apart from each other, from free to 900. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And when you don't price things properly in any other business, there's going to be consequences when it comes to your consumers. And for me, that's just that I'm not going to spend on an event that I don't see value in, and I'm having a tough time finding it in some of the MLC this month.
Yeah, and I want to take it a step even further, where it's not even so much that I don't see the value, as much as it is like I'm disincentivized, I'm disenchanted from wanting to go and spend money on the game at this point. It not only is like, how do I try and make something worth out of nothing? It's gotten to a point of like, is there really even a point? And that's not a good environment for the players to be in at all. So as a whole, I think the monthly leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like the We're Here monthly is severely lacking. Yeah, while there's maybe some use cases for some of these characters after the monthly is over, and some people might really like the move damage Rowan, and other people, to Evo's point, might really like Mercy as a green multi-gem guy, and that's, that works. But these trainers and coaches, not really worth it to me. This moment situation leaves a lot to be desired. The amount of money that Abby's going to be to get, and that it's essentially zombie LA all over again, this is just leaving a lot to be desired. It's just tough.
It also makes me want to wait because, like, Knight, they're like, they roll him out shardless, and then 2 weeks later he's got shards out there, and it just ended up. I mean, a lot of us are in that same boat where we're like, man, why did I dump into this first event if you're just going to put him out there with shards 2 weeks later?
Yeah,
the shardless thing's just that. I think a lot of members of the community, that's just worn on to the point where, I mean, you can tell it's a suck right away, and I'm not going to engage in the shardless stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's honestly, and I think Donjay just piggybacked on that point too in the chat, and I think this is a great segue into the next point too. So outside of the monthly, anything else, I guess, before we do segue into the next point of the Turtles Weekly? Anything else anyone has to say about the month? No.
I was just going to say one thing, Bob, and this goes back to the last podcast, and I don't know if it was on the bit that made it or not, so I apologise if it has been repeated. But you pointed out something about the Rocky event on the last podcast, where it was a lot to get Rocky, around $500 spend, but with everything that you got with that 500, if they had marketed it as a deal on the portal, listing all of those things, it made it much more appealable. And I think with the moments this time, they could have done something similar, like put both of them into a $500 deal with like loads of other stuff that makes it more accessible than a $900 spend in 2 days or whatever before you go for a weekend spend as well. And people see the benefit of what they're getting rather than all being RNG based.
Yeah, There's definitely always opportunity for better deals out there. That's for sure. That I definitely agree with you with, and they can do a better job of marketing, but that's unfortunately not the strong suit. I will use a lot of these points though, however, to segue into the next point. Turtle 2.0 showed up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.0 made its way into Scopely and into Champions. We had an entire week-long event surrounding all the Turtles, which included 2 new Ninja Turtle characters, Shredder Roman Reigns, the Technician, and Cody Rhodes Casey Jones, otherwise known as Cody Jones, the Striker. Those were the 2 new characters that came out during that week-long event. And to kind of circle back as to what we were just talking about and what Donjay was just talking about too, people spent a lot of money, like a lot of money, to get Raphael and Leonardo the first time around. I was one of those people for sure. I know a lot of people that are on the voice call right now were some other people as well. We had a lot of members in the faction who spent some crazy money to get these characters. And Turtles 2.0 was honestly a real feels bad for a lot of those people that spent the money early because they could have just gotten it the second time around for so much less. It was a real feels bad for an entire faction spend event to be dedicated to getting Raphael, and then Raphael to essentially be provided to just about anyone and everyone under the sun if they played during the Turtles 2.0 week. It was just it was a real feels bad if you spent early 2 months ago. And to piggyback on what Duck was saying too, of the whole shard list things, and to kind of feel like you can just get all of these items later on, I kind of felt that way tremendously personally with this Turtles event, that if you held off on it, you could have just gotten it a couple of months later. And that's kind of what's leaving me this month thinking about getting Abby in a couple of months, getting the Moment in a couple of months, because the last thing that I want to do now is, spend close to, what is it, $900? Let's just round it up, $1,000 this month, when, who knows, I might be able to get it in January or February for a couple $100 in worst case scenario. So it leaves a lot to be desired in that regard. I don't like the idea of FOMO and trying to capitalize on it. I don't like the idea of hoping and banking on getting something in the future. There's a lot of uncertainty with this. And I think the Turtles event was a prime example of that exact situation. That 2 months ago, if you really wanted everything, you could get it, but it cost a lot. And this past week, you could definitely not only get everything there, you could get even more in terms of not only getting Raphael, not only getting Leonardo, but getting Shredder as well, getting some of these skill plates on top. And there was no faction spend component to it. It was just a dedicated thing of what you yourself wanted to do. The weekend had the faction spend component thing, which we'll talk about the weekend too, and Cody Jones and all that shit, to put it kindly. But the week-long event, it was honestly like its own little monthly in our MLC. It had nothing to do with the We're Here contest at all, other than giving us some shards for these characters. And that was it. We literally had a full week of Turtles. There's a lot to discuss. Like, a lot to discuss with the Turtle event. And I really can't wait to hear what everyone's takes are on the week.
I'm gonna let y'all go first because I got some strong feelings.
Well, I got some soft feelings because I was in the new ministry during the first Turtles event, so it wasn't as exciting for me to even go after Turtles that first time around. But the second time around, oh boy. Getting Raphael for the low reworked, that was great. Seeing I had a shot at Leonardo, but I wasn't invested enough to actually make it happen, was still nice. And getting tons and tons of plates out the wazoo. I just got plates just to get plates. I don't even use these plates. I'm just putting them in the pocket just in case someone decides they need a plate. I got a plate for you. So, as a low end spender, this was a great run it back. And you're on the list, and seeing how it turned out for me, and it turned out pretty great.
Yeah, I was
Well,
out of town during the first turtle event, so I really didn't put much time into it. So for me, it worked out well, but I definitely feel bad for like faction mates and other people who went hard on the first one, because there was a lot more value if you didn't in this one than if you already had. Not really a fan of some of the week-long RNG stuff with the spend, it benefited me, but I still don't necessarily think it's a fair method of doling out the characters. Just what's your RNG through polls, especially with the daily stuff. I mean, case in point, I pulled 2 of those oozes on my first 2 polls, and I was basically ahead for the whole week. And there's people who were dumping way more than me into it, and they just couldn't catch up because the way the points were structured, as long as I did X amount of spend, I really couldn't be topped unless a bunch of oozes went out there, and they just doesn't seem like they were giving them out really regularly. They seem really rare, which I know is a gripe of a lot of people here, or not just here, but in the community.
Yeah, it's a sort of combination of Southside and Duck. I was in a faction that didn't spend to get Ray, so I had no chance of getting him the first time round. But this time around, I actually pulled him in a loot pool, but I would have got him regardless. I just think that the week long up until Friday of the Turtles, that's the event that they should have done the first time round. You know, I thought that for the majority of the community was a fun event that gave them an opportunity to get cards that they most likely weren't going to get, or definitely not based on the first time round. So that's what they should have done the first time round to make it fair and fun for the whole community, rather than, like you said, Bob, just make the people that went out and spent big the first time round, the factions that went hard, feel really bad that they spent that amount, because 6 weeks later they could have got those characters for not anywhere near as much money. I mean, I was pleased that I got it, and I was able to recruit some really good posters and plates and that sort of thing. But I do see it from both sides as well.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a fraction of the price for sure.
Yeah,
Take it away, Evo.
I'm gonna be real on this one. It was dog shit. It was a slap in the face to anyone that went out of their way to either A, help their faction achieve Raphael, or B, just spend on that event in general, because you know how Stokely works. We knew, according to the moment, that there was going to be another event coming. We knew Casey and Shredder were coming. But to turn around, not only, I mean, them Shredder masks, I had hundreds of thousands. So not only did they just make it, if you tried, you could easily get them at 6-star gold. They revamped them. They made them even better. So you spent for shit, and then you got great stuff for free. It's a double slap in the face. And if anything pissed me off, it was that. It was like, I don't want to be that guy that has stuff and haha, I have it and you don't. I want everyone to have it.
Yes.
But there's some value to the fact that we're putting money in this product. To shit on it like that, it pisses me off. And I'm going to be strong words, and I apologize. Cover your kids' ears if you're there, Rusty. But I really find it unfair, and I don't know, because I do love the fact that so many people got them with this event, even with minimal spending and whatnot. I just don't know what the balance is on that point. I don't know why they had to be so harsh just to turn it around like a 180 on the second go through.
Yeah.
And then the Cody. Oh, Cody Jones. Man, how do you not have an event for that weekend? Bro, that was the most poorly explained and described event I've seen. It was, you would think you go in, you have a whole set. No. And there was no masks to be found. You had to buy them all. And, some leaderboard stuff if you got lucky with the ooze and whatnot. But good Lord. I really, in general, big, double thumbs down. And a foot too if you want. But
Yeah, a foot down for the Foot Clan week.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, the only real value of that weekend was to spend. There was no real other event if you had already done some of the stuff during the week. So it's just like I think I made the comment in faction chat. I'm like, so what am I doing Showdown for? There was really no value for it at that point besides a couple extra little things that really weren't worth the time suck of it. I mean, I did it because I've got this weird completionist mentality for stuff, but I don't actually see where the value of last weekend was besides spinning the loop. Like, that was really it.
That was it. There wasn't a weekend contest at all. So I will say for sure, and I guess the thing that kind of to piggyback on a lot of the points here, there's a lot of people that got to walk away with a lot, right? Like Bunders, who didn't have a chance of getting Raphael, who did get Raphael the second time around. I'm thrilled for him. The fact that, McMenemy is in our faction and pretty much didn't really even spend, but got to walk away with enough prize wall to get Seth, absolutely thrilled for him too. And it's not a thing of screw those guys, they got it for, next to nothing where I had to go crazy. That's not the issue. I'm happy that they got it. There's nothing that takes away from them getting it. In fact, I have plenty of reasons for them to be happy that I got it. Or that they got it, rather. They're in my faction. They help make all of the faction events easier, whether it's a grind event, whether they're going to help us carry and boss, whether we need to have a whole faction pushing and beating certain nodes, so knowing that they have these characters, they can get more points for the faction, as well as making their own solo progress even further to help the faction out in the long run. There's plenty of reasons to be happy that your faction mates got all these things. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's no situation where it's like, haha, I have it and you don't. But it's a feels bad as a player for myself that I had to go so much more above and beyond to get the same thing. It's not screw them for having it. It's damn kicking myself because I feel like an idiot that I went so crazy to get this thing that I didn't need to go crazy over. And I feel like it's very reminiscent of how I'm feeling about this $900 moment right now. And it's like, do I really need to go that crazy for a $900 moment right now? Probably not. It's not really going to help me out that much. And you know what? I might be able to get it off of a month-long midweek prize wall in 2 or 3 months from now, and it won't even cost me a penny. And then I'll really be kicking myself. Because it's going to be Seth Rollins, Leonardo all over again. I don't want to do that. I just don't.
And I get the counter argument. I understand. We had it. We went when they first came out. We got them. We had them with 99 MP. You pay for having it. Immediately instead of just waiting. I understand all that. It just feels like instead of they went and said, man, these were shit. Let's fix them a little bit. And then they decided, then giving them away. It just feels like there was no value given to those that went after them the first time. It was like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
And it was so quick. Like we're talking about it like it was like not that long ago. It was like a month and a half ago, right? Like it was super soon. And then they reworked them, and the reworks are great. But yeah, everything just felt very rushed, very quick, and very expensive.
Yeah, I definitely gotta agree there. So I think part of the so to speak, like the issue in that sense is not only that it was the speed, but how punishing it just felt, right? Like it was all available, it was all there, and you didn't need to do it. That's all. You just didn't need to do it. You could have just held off. It was right around the corner, and there was so much more the second time around. It was just tough. It was just absolutely tough.
And then you compound that, and then they just hit you right again with, an uppercut. Oh, look, Rocky, good luck. You got last chance.
Yep. And
the FOMO thing is crazy.
Lately. The Rocky thing too. I think to your point, Evo, if you had Tech Rocky going into that event, you didn't need to spend anything, and you walked away with something. In this event, if you had Seth and you had Raphael, you didn't get anything for it. You didn't you didn't log in and you're like, oh hey, I get 100% gem damage straps because I have these guys, or I get a Piper plate and an Eyes of Judgment. None of that existed for having Leonardo Seth. It was just, well, do you have Leonardo Seth, or how's about old mutant powerhouse Seth? That's what having Leonardo Seth accounted to and equated to for Turtles 2.0. It was nothing. And so, it was just very frustrating.
It's that lack of consistency that honestly frustrates me a lot with them too. You know, it's just, if you're gonna do one thing one way, do it all the way, all the time. You know.
Talk to me, Bunders.
Well, I 100% get your frustration, and I feel for you guys that have put your hand in your pocket and literally been shit on 6 weeks later. It makes me feel bad for you. It honestly does. But I do just want to go back to Doc's point about the showdown, because regardless of how they run these events, the events themselves should take priority, and that showdown was completely and utterly pointless. Like you said, I think the winner got 5,000 shredder bar, and yet if you were in a faction that came first, you got 50,000 for a spend event. But why even bother with the showdown at all? You know that. I thought was really, really poor on their behalf. You've got to have some sort of incentive for the community as a whole to go after, and it didn't offer any incentive to go after that event.
Yeah.
The reward for winning first was like 2,500 of each TP. To put it in perspective, like with the 5,000 treasure shards is right. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember, but yeah, that doesn't seem scaled very well versus other events. It's almost like they don't look at their past events to dictate what they're going to do in the future, and they're just throwing it at a dartboard. And I feel like I'm coming off super negative. I did love the rework stuff, but it just doesn't make sense. Consistency is key in any business, company, game, whatever it might be. Being consistent's important for the long-term product. And if like the Rocky Point, right? How do you have value in the Rocky Point where you can get stuff if you already had it, and then you have none of that in the Turtle event within a week? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it doesn't look like a lot of thought was put into it when they're run that way.
Yeah, very, very frustrating for sure. I see we have someone pulled up a chair to our lovely round table here. Feel free to hop on in with the conversation, Mr. Sensei Kreese. We are currently discussing the Turtles 2.0 event, the Foot Clan week-long event. Oh, no Sensei?
Oh, no, I'm here.
There we go.
Now, the only thing I'll say about the Turtle event is, and maybe this was mentioned because I just got on a couple minutes ago,
Yeah.
was that if it wasn't for the fact... Hold on 1 second, sorry.
No worries.
All right, I'm back. If it wasn't for the fact that they just put out a bunch of quality of life improvements and claim to have a lot more in the pipeline, this feels awful like a end of game cash grab.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they were trying to squeeze it for everything that it was worth.
I mean, between the first Turtles event, Zombies Month, Rocky, and now the second Turtles event, man, it was, like I said, if it wasn't for all that stuff that they're doing and have done, I'd be worried about the future of this game.
It's definitely very frustrating, to put it kindly. It was not a feels good event. It was definitely one of the feels bad events. A lot of people got to walk away with it, which was nice, right? A lot of people got to walk away with Raph. A lot more people got to walk away with Leonardo, which, huge wins for a lot of these people out there for sure. But the fact that they had these two events so close, The fact that the two of them were also they were very spend heavy, to be honest. The first Turtles event, especially, the second one didn't feel as spend heavy because of how much you got to walk away with, which I think is very interesting because it was almost as expensive, if not even more, than the first one. But the amount of stuff that people get to walk away with was drastically higher. It's an intriguing dynamic, to put it kindly. And we were talking about how it kind of feels like it's its own little monthly away from the We're Here MLC, which is its own weird dynamic that it had going on. But what I guess I'm more intrigued in too, as we talk about this, which is going to be the majority of this podcast here, is this weekend event too. The lack of weekend event, that is. There was no weekend event. There was no weekend showdown for the event. Like, that, it was just, here's a showdown. It's going to feed into the Turtle Weeklong. So if you already maxed out the Turtle Weeklong, good for you. Here's an event that, or here's a weekend rather that feeds into your Weeklong. And to Bunders' point two and to Duck's point two, the boards were more Shredder masks, which, what's the point? You most likely already have everything from that anyway. And your faction event is paying out 10x what first place is paying out in these solo events, in this grind event. It's a ridiculous comparison in regards to how much you would have to commit in order to walk away with practically nothing. If the boards had paid out, instead of 5,000 Shredder masks, maybe something like 500 KC masks, even 1,000, then there's a different story. But they didn't. And they just did it. You could tell that they weren't bothered with trying to change that dynamic. They just didn't care. They wanted to stick with what they've done in the past, which is 5,000 for whatever reason to first place. And 5,000 to first place meant nothing. There was, and I'm not going to go calling names out or anything like that. There was numerous people in my faction that walked away with over 100,000, 150,000, 180,000 Shredder masks. What on God's green earth do they care about 5,000? They don't. They literally couldn't care about 5,000. It was non-existent. It was pointless. So, I don't know. It definitely feel like they fell short of the mark there on the weekend.
For me, it felt like there was a mistake somewhere, and they just ate it and let it run, and we suffered for it. I felt like Casey Mash should have been the reward, maybe, on the leaderboard instead of the Shredder Mash, and so maybe that was it. There was an easy fix. They could have sold Casey Mash from the prize wall for Shredder Mash at some kind of exchange rate, but they really missed the mark all around on that event to me.
And I don't want to open up old wounds, but it seems like the Turtle events always leave the spinners with a bad taste in their mouth, because the first Turtle event, they gave out the moment. And to level up the moment, you needed tons of shards. So people made it happen any way they could. And then at the very end, guess what, guys? Y'all can have these shards for free. And guess what? Next time around, everybody can have them. So let's get it.
And people burned that prize wall. And that prize wall, there's other good stuff on that prize wall. So that, that was another thing too. It kind of, I didn't like it.
Yeah, not fun at all. It was very tough.
Love the cards though. Shredder I'll use forever. I love his animations and everything about it. To be honest, to be fair with them, the reworks on the turtles were great. Everyone having them and ability to get them, great too. They could have presented it a lot better. Maybe, letting people know, hey, in 2 weeks, it's going to come around again or something like that. Because you never know when stuff is going to happen with these guys.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the tee-hee-hee, right? And that's what I'll call it. There was a lot of tee-hee-hee, they might come back. Tee-hee-hee, we're not going to tell you everything, but we might have some insider information. I hate that, right? And that kind of circles back to the surprise thing. I hate the surprises. I just do. And this was a prime example of why I hate the surprise. And this is the definition of one of the worst surprises that they've done. Of, guess what? They came back, and you could have gotten them all for so much cheaper. Like, it's just really ugly, is how I viewed it personally. It was just bad. I mean, and yeah, the to piggyback on Envy's point, and McManabee's talking about it in the chat here too. The first event where people went out of their way, myself included, to get dupes of the characters so that we would have enough shards to level up the moment, and missed out on a whole bunch of other resources or fuse ups on that wall, definitely felt really, really bad. And then the event came back, and it's like, by the way, here you go. It just felt even worse. So yeah, it's a very frustrating experience, to put it kindly, when it comes to this whole turtle event thing. Yeah.
It's unfortunate because all the cards are so good, and we should be talking about that.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate because they're like really good cards.
Yeah.
I think it is important that we do point out the positives as well, because the event did have quite a lot of positives, and I'm not shitting on the negatives, because obviously there were plenty, but I think that like Doug says, the cards, the reworks were really, really good. Ray went from being pretty poor to one of the best powerhouses in the game, and you know, they did do some good things. Shred is possibly the best free card they've ever given out. So it is important that we point those out as well.
Yeah, look, right, the post revamped versions of these turtles are all fantastic. Raphael, which I know Evo's gonna hate me for saying it, Raphael became amazing. I know Evo loved using Raph beforehand.
He was amazing.
See? I knew it was coming. But yeah, I mean, look, like Raph is insanely good right now. He's, you know, I was actually thrilled to get a gem damage strap for New Gen Powerhouse because of Raphael. So definitely a very solid improvement and rework in regards to him there. Donatello, who, again, I know Evo's going to hate me for saying it, who was not very good beforehand, became absolutely top-notch and possibly a top 3 trickster in the game, regardless of who you have and what you have for your account. And for those of you that, you know, aren't some of the whaliest whales out there, or some of the luckiest people out there, he probably is your best trickster on your account. And Seth, who by no stretch of the imagination needed a rework, somehow got even better. And instead of just having one, has now multiple movesets that can all eclipse 60, 70 plus million damage turn one without needing to interact with the board. Very impressive, each and every last one of them. And I think they're great additions to anyone's roster.
And not to belittle that one fact that, honestly, for multi-user, Seth is probably the best card as a coach in the game. Other than, you know, the zombies, you know, half a dozen of one, 6 of another. But, you know, for the availability that the zombies didn't have compared to the availability they did have, it was a great win for everyone.
Sensei, I know you just hopped in. What's your thoughts on these turtles of ours? Oh, Sensei's gone again.
Oh, I'm here. I was actually feuding. I know.
That's
right. I like the cards. Wait, when going back to the weekend when I saw Casey Jones, like I knew that was out of reach. Like I don't even put that stuff in my mind when I see, you know, the prices they put on that. Same thing with Leonardo. Although I did come pretty close to him. I came within I think 5,000 Shredder masks of getting him, so I wound up getting Raphael in the moment. I think a plate or something. I don't remember. So much stuff on two prize walls. I forget what I got. But the cards are really good, and I think that's and the player base. Although I think I wasn't a turtle guy when I was a kid. I don't know if maybe I was just maybe a couple years older than their target demographic, but a lot of people seem to like it. So Shredder being a free card, probably one of the biggest gifts Scopely has ever given the community. I think, minus the problems that you guys have discussed, it was pretty good for the community as a whole. I'm not going to complain too much, and you know how much I love to complain.
This is very true. But yeah, the characters were definitely big wins, I think, for a lot. Also, you had to piggyback on it, right? Shredder as a freebie character is an absolute monster of a character. Like an absolute monster of a hitter in this game.
And can we talk about that animation? If you just put an OTC shirt on him for the original tail clap, he comes up behind, he stabs it in deep and lifts you off the ground with it. Oh boy.
Envy, you never cease to amaze me the things that you prioritize in this game, and the idea of putting on the OTC shirt on Shredder because he comes up from behind and stabs you, again, does not cease to amaze me. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, look, I know not too many people got him out there. But we also had our second edition on the turtle side of things for new turtles. Cody Jones, Casey Rhodes. What did everyone think of him? I know Sensei was just leaving a little quick 1-2 about he knew that he was going to be out of reach, which I know a lot of us kind of felt he was going to be out of reach. Evo left some commentary on how it was pretty much impossible to get him unless you were getting lucky with chasing the masks, which fully agree with him there. It was very, very brutal and expensive in regards to chasing that individual. What's everyone's thoughts on Cody altogether, right? The accessibility, the trainer, the fighter. I'm just curious because I know that he wasn't the easiest to get, and there wasn't really a weekend event surrounding him. There was just a weekend showdown.
I mean, accessibility, obviously. But from a character play perspective, I mean, he's got two really quick builds that are really good. Just wasn't really a path to him unless you got super, super lucky or willing to spend a fortune to get him. But from a play perspective, he's basically Acro Rhea. At least right now, that's how I'm running him. But he does have a Snowfall Black build that's going to hit for over 100 million too when I was testing it out with 2 clicks. So, yeah, I'll use him for a very long time. I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite striker, but I'm definitely going to use him for a long time. He's very good.
Can dig it. Anybody else on Cody Jones? Their thoughts?
He's actually the weakest trainer of the month, though. I will say that. I mean, Green Gems is great with the purple, but it's very specific. So
it seems very dedicated to Donatello.
I wrote him off completely. I wasn't going to get him as soon as I saw the event drop, and so didn't even think about him too much. I've seen videos of him. He looks very good. Like Doc said, he's got 2 really, really good move sets. But I think when you're putting out a card that's going to cost like people's mortgage for the year, it should be game changing in all aspects of the game, like Seth Leonardo with his trainer. And Cody's trainer is just too niche. It's not good enough in any way, shape, or form. So that one aspect means that he's not worth the money as far as I was concerned.
I got to be honest here. I think if they reversed it and Casey was the free and Starter was the Casey, the chase, I think it would have been fine to me. It would have made sense that way. I got the card. I chased it. I paid for it. I am what I am. But I it's one of those things where, God forbid, I need him for boss battle. Isn't my thought for getting But he's okay. Striker, kind of loaded, especially modern now, out of the blue. So we, again, I feel like it's another miss on that part. But it's a good card, and hopefully it becomes more available for everyone else later on.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping so. Any other thoughts and feedback on the Turtle event as a whole? Like I said, I know that's going to be the majority of what we discuss in this podcast episode before we move on to our next topic.
I think just the final thought on it for me is that it sounds like we've really shit on it a lot in this podcast, and I can understand the reasons why, but I do think for the general community all round, that especially the first half of the event was a very good event.
I definitely, yes, I would like to definitely clarify that. The week-long was certainly a win for a lot of players around this community. They get to walk away with the Raphael. Some of them get to walk away with Leonardo. Plenty of them get to walk away with this moment. There's definitely some huge upside to this event. The only reason that there's as much negativity here as there is due to the fact of how much people spent the first time around, that they feel like they wasted all their money on that first event when they could have simply saved it for the secondary event and received the same, if not better, rewards the second go around. It is not to detract or to take away from what people got to walk away with the second time around, and it is not to detract or take away from how good these characters are post rework. There's definitely some fantastic additions to the game as a whole this second Turtle event that I don't want to be overshadowed either. Anything else about the Turtle stuff before actually I will hand it over to you, Bunders. I know that you wanted to give a couple of quick points here in regards to the events as of late. And then, Eva, I'll toss it over to you after Bunders. I know you wanted to talk about some of the content-related stuff as of late. But go ahead, Bunders. I'd love to hear your point today, which I definitely am, to my knowledge, I'm in pretty much full agreement with.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I just think, obviously, as someone who's only played this game for 7 months or so now, it's obviously, if you want to be competitive at the top end of this game, then you're going to have to reach into your pocket quite deep and find those credit cards, and you're going to have to purchase quite a lot of stuff. But the makers of the game, Scopely, should be looking at this, and it should be balanced. And just in recent times, it's been anything but. The spend fatigue in the game right now is real. And I think the event that we're going to come on to shortly this week sums it up completely, because you've got a spend event there with a maximum milestone of 50 million. Now, forgive me, I haven't checked what the top faction is at. It'll probably be Woken, but I think they're only at like 15, 16 million out of 50 million 6 days into the event, in a 7-day event, and that'll tell you how bad a spend event that is. And it just seems like we had the Turtles, the Zombie Month, the Rocky, the Turtles again, and now this crappy spend event. It's just the emphasis on making people not making, because they can't make us do anything, but the expectation that people will keep putting their hand in their pocket over and over again, and not just for like $100 a week, which is still way more than most people will spend on this, but for $1,000 a week if you want to get the moment, and or even 2,000 if you want to take home the moment and Abby in the same week. It's completely unrealistic. It's not. You aiming that at maybe 1% of the community that play the game, and it takes away from the game, and it makes you not want to spend.
Yeah, it's definitely very frustrating at times. I can agree with you there. We've had a lot of spend heavy and spend centric events, including faction ones. We had the Raphael spend event, which is something that we talked about earlier on. That was the faction spend. We had the Aussie Bark at the Moon spend event. We just had the Cody Jones weekend event where it was literally just spending to get Cody Jones prize wall for everybody in the faction. We also have this web portal spend event. I'm drawing a blank, but I'm pretty sure there was a fifth one along the way that is just faction spend alone. That there was no other way of getting points apart from being in a faction that just spends. It's certainly growing very, very old, very tiresome, very quickly. It's a lot. And yes, we obviously understand that if you want to have some of the better things in the game, you need to spend to get it. But the amount that has been consistently put on everybody to, like you said, not forcing, but expecting them to spend as much as they are is absolutely insane. It truly is absolutely insane levels of money. And I think that even mentioning 1% of the community is a kind and generous number, to put it very, very kindly. Anybody's thoughts on Bunders' commentary in regards to the spending fatigue lately? And yes, obviously, I know everyone has some very colorful vocabulary here. So if we can kind of limit that, that'd be great.
I think that a large portion of the spend community within the game is definitely feeling fatigue, and I feel like my big gripe against it is not that anyone's pressuring me to spend, but tying that component to 99 other people that I play the game with. It just feels a little exploitative to really tie the success of other people to my spend repeatedly over and over. I get we're going to have events that are tied to that, but it just makes me feel like when they do that, to be honest with you, I'm just not a huge fan of that pressure that I put on myself to make sure that we all get what we need. And maybe it's more of a me thing. I don't like the way that the way they do that makes me feel, and it makes me feel pressure to spend, and no one's putting it on me, and they know that. That's definitely part of the marketing plan for those events, and I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, the way I've always played this game has always been, let's get the faction through things. Let's get everyone stuff that they can get. I don't think I've ever asked anyone to help me get something. I've always been, what can I do for the faction, or what can I do? And yeah, I take care of myself in the long run. I spend a lot, crazy, but it's also to the fact that where, I have the availability to be that guy that can push us through if we get difficult. That's how I like to do it for myself. It's not because I feel pressure to have the new thing or collect all the good stuff, but lately it's been too much. It's been predatory in a sense in my mind, and maybe they could tone it down. And now we got Black Friday coming. I'm looking at how people are talking in my faction chat, and everyone's kind of down. It's the holidays. We shouldn't be down. Should be joy. Should be getting together, having some fun while we have some time. And I look at my faction as family, so I'm kind of pissed off that my family's upset. So hopefully, it turns around a little bit. I don't know with this game, but that's how I feel about that.
No, I think you're spot on, and I think it's a tough spot for everyone to be in. I will say the thing that I don't like, and kind of to piggyback on all the points here, the spending fatigue, the idea that what both Duck and Evo are bringing up of having the desire to try and help out your friends and your family, so to speak, right? And that's what this all comes down to. It's a very defeatist feeling to be going through this game and then spending the amount of money that you are spending to make everyone around you also feel happy, to enjoy the game, to feel rewarded, etc. And to know that it's just not stopping. That's the problem. If this was a one-off type of thing, then sure. If there was a couple of events that everyone gets to walk away with something major, then great. Like, for example, you know, the veteran Cena, when he first came out, Technician Cena, Ruthless Aggression. When he first came out, he was a $30 per person spend event. And everybody got him. He was the best technician in the game at that point in time, but everybody in your faction got him for $30. And that was such a wildly appreciated win that so many factions and so many people actually did that so they could all walk away with someone that made their account that much better. And now, just alone, when we talk about the Cody Jones event, what did everybody spend for people to get prize wall to not get the character? That's where the feels bad comes in. And it's not just one event, it's the incessant amount of these events. Like Duck said, Turtles 1.0 was less than 2 months ago. That was the Raphael spend event. The Aussie Bark at the Moon was part of the Zombies month. That was less than a month ago. We just had the Cody Jones event. That was literally last weekend, and now we already have this web portal spend event. That's this week. These are all things that are faction-based spend events that you feel bad if you can't walk away with the win. And that is a horrible experience for the players to walk away with. And as it's been pointed out, I think it's a very predatory way of trying to get people, us included, to spend on the game because we feel bad that our faction isn't going to walk away with whatever the win is. That's what I just call it, right? Whether it's the skill plate, the character, the moment, the gear, whatever the hell it is, it's the win. You don't get to walk away with the win, you feel bad. And that's not conducive for an enjoyable environment. Like Evo just said, it's the holidays. People should be enjoying themselves. And there is a massive amount of people not having fun, of people not enjoying their time spent on the game. And that's where there's a major frustration point that I think has been building up, tremendously so, and it's very, very sad. Anything else on your point there, Bunders? Also, Sensei, I didn't hear from you on that one. If you want to chime on in.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with what I said earlier about this just feeling like a real serious cash grab, and I don't know. It's more like Scopely has always tried to, get our money. That's their job. That's what they do. That's how they keep their people employed. I get that. It's just over the past couple months, it's just been ramped up a little bit more, and I don't know if I'm assuming it's planned. For what reason, I don't know. Like I said, if in different circumstances, I would think maybe because they're getting ready to end the game, but I just don't see that here. I don't know why. I will say, though, that this current web portal party thing is just so over-the-top ridiculous that, like, spending for it's still... In order for one faction to max it, 100 players would have to spend an average of 125,000 web coins.
Yep.
Who the hell has that much? I mean, I'm sure some people did, and at one point I did, but then I bought things. But how could you expect a faction of 100 people to have that much?
Yep.
That's really ridiculous. And again, this goes in the compartmentalization in my brain of it's not even worth wasting energy on it. Just get my 130% strap, which goes on Apollo Creed. Great. And move on.
Yeah, we'll hop into that wonderful event here in just a moment, but it does kind of go hand in hand with Bunders' point, right? This web portal party week-long spend event. It's literally a week-long spend event for not much, really. Honestly, it's pretty bad.
Just to piggyback on that real quick, one little point while it's in my... I'm a spender, and I spend on the portal pretty regularly. At most, I have 25, 30,000 web points on a regular basis. This is 125,000. It's like someone hit a number somewhere and forgot to reduce it. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Can I just also one more point I wanted to make about the faction spending? It's so uncomfortable feeling. Is that the right word? I don't know. That like when it comes down to like say the last couple hours, like we'll just go back to the Casey masks thing. Like if we get close to a milestone towards the end, I even feel bad like in my head going, hey guys, I'll spend another 20 if 10 more people. Like I feel bad doing that stuff.
It's nauseating. It really is.
And it's like I don't know how to. I want to say it without saying. Like I want to send a signal to my faction. We can do this if you want, but don't feel obligated. And then I just keep my mouth shut. I don't. It's just so awkward.
Yeah. There's next to no situation that you can tell your faction that you're willing to spend $20, but don't feel obligated to spend $20 on your own. Type of situation, it doesn't exist. Trust me, as a leader of a faction who has tried to make those posts, I have been very, very under some very heavy scrutiny numerous times of Bob. You know what you're saying, even though you didn't say it, and it's like I didn't say it. I'm just trying to let people know if they want to. It's like, no, you know what you're saying. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna just shut up then.
It's like saying, there's 10 bad guys over there. I'm gonna go tackle them, but I need some homies. So but don't spend, but help me out here. Help us all out.
It's tough. It's really, really tough sometimes.
And I don't think they realize that if they didn't make the top milestones so out of reach, they would make more money.
Oh, so much more money.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I quite frankly don't think they realize how unattainable they're making some of this stuff. Their math is off just way too often. Like they're just not math people, I think, at this point. It just doesn't make sense. Or they're really duplicitous. And there's no in between. It's a very weird thing where they can't value anything. Scoring always seems off. They don't seem to understand the math behind it, or they do, which is almost worse. It's very weird. I don't know how to describe it.
I think the issue, Duck, honestly, and I know this is going to sound very rude to them, I'm sure, but I don't think they listen to this anyway. And all that being said, I think it's still very true. I don't think they play their own game. I legitimately don't think that they play their own game to understand what it's like as a player, let alone as a player in a mid-tier faction, and certainly not as a player in a top-tier faction. I think that they simply surround themselves with people that tell them what they want to hear, and I'm sure that there was a couple people who were like, I have these web coins that I don't know what to spend them on. And they're like, well, let's make you a spend event. And maybe that's just me thinking too, like, simplistically and lowbrow, IQ level, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of what I think just happened. I kind of think that's exactly what happened. And let's actually go ahead. I'm actually in game right now. Woken is in first place, by the way, Bunders. They're at 16 million points. Let's round it up, 16.3. And the max milestone is 50 million points. And all that being said, that entire event, what does it even get you? Loot coins. What does it get you loot coins for? For prize wall to get skill plates that you already owned? It's ridiculous. They got rid of the skill plate prize wall to bring out this event, which gives you the skill plate prize wall back, but now you have to spend for it.
I will say, as a I'm going to make up a term here, a platophile, right? Seeing that prize wall is kind of like Never mind. I'll stop there.
Well, I'm gonna put
That
on
was
a
definitely
tinfoil
going to
hat.
end bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on a tinfoil hat for a minute and say it like this, right? It's almost as if, with all the quality of life stuff that we've had lately, that there's something on the horizon for webcoins, and they want to drain as much as they can before they do it.
Maybe.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Maybe. Anything else you wanted to talk about your point there, Bunders? I hope we didn't derail too far from the original point there.
No, not at all. I mean, just to finish on, I would say that this event, in the time I've played the game, which is obviously far shorter than you guys, but in the time I've played, this is 100% the worst event that they've put on, and it's not close.
Yeah, that's saying something pretty bad, especially if this is their, congratulations, we reached a milestone with our web portal. It's been alive for this long event. If the anniversary event is, in your mind, the worst one that they've had so far, boy, they've missed the mark.
It just, I saw it on Monday, and I think I said to you in voice chat, I'm not spending, I'm not getting involved in it whatsoever. It literally holds no sort of desire for me to get involved in whatsoever, and I think that's really sad that would happen.
Yeah. It's definitely very disengaging, especially as a newer player, to feel no incentive to even spend on this event. And look, don't get me wrong, right? I know we're all talking very negatively about this event too. Kind of similar to the Turtles thing, right? That being said, there is a couple of things on that wall, on the webcoin shop rather, that are nice. They have a couple of props on there. If you're someone that likes getting props and holding on to them and using them for certain situations, they definitely help. If you're someone who really likes the idea of those 130% gem damage straps, those definitely exist as well. There's an affiliation strap for the IOW characters too. So there's definitely a couple of things on there that are nice additions to some rosters, but the price tag on these things is just so astronomical, right? Like if I were to go to the portal and I wanted to just simply purchase web coins, which is a thing for those of you that don't know, it's at the very, very, very bottom of the special offers page. The best rate of return that they have on web coins is 12,000 web coins for $200. These 130% straps are 8,400 web coins. Even if you want to round it down to 8,000 and just mark it halfway point, there's one of those every day. So if you wanted to get 3 of these straps, and I'm going to just give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you get these straps for 8,000 instead of 8,400, you would need to drop $400 on the portal for web coins to get 3 of these random straps. That's a crazy
to put them on
price tag.
somebody that probably doesn't need it in the first place, because these 130s are going on people that already hit crazy damage. So maybe at some point they'll need it, but yeah, the web coin stuff's crazy.
The difference between a 100 and 130, it's so insignificant. It's essentially the difference of having good substats on your medals versus not. That's pretty much the difference. And don't get me wrong, right? Everyone likes the idea of a 130 strap. That's cool. And to me, I think that this piggybacks on what Evo said too, that there's something in the pipeline. I don't think that it has to do with web coins in the pipeline. I think that there's going to be new straps that come out. I think there's going to be 150% and 200% straps that come out soon. That's exactly what I think it means. But the amount of money that you're talking about on this that's just crazy. $400 for 3 straps that you don't even get to pick and choose. And yeah, that's your wonderful event. Or you can what's the rate of return on this? You can spend a mega on the portal and also get 400,000 points towards that event, which, as you saw, the number one spend faction is at 16 million points. So there's not too many of those going around. And yet again, web portal exclusive only. Very frustrating that there's no way to get points in game. So I know it's a portal event and that's their anniversary and all that type of wonderful stuff, but man, this is a stinker of an event, to put it kindly. I know we also kind of merged 2 points in there, but anything else on Bunders' comments of the spending fatigue or the web portal party week-long event, I guess, is what it is, that anyone wants to go
Prize
over.
wall is sexy, I will say that.
What was that, Sensei?
The prize wall is still sexy after everything said.
Yeah, when I saw the prize wall, I got excited, and then I saw how many prize wall tokens I got off of those few pulls from the faction, and I said,
Yeah.
What price are we talking about?
We're talking about the web portal prize wall, Evo, the in-game skill plate prize wall.
Yeah, burn it with fire. It's not worth the value assigned to it at all.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. While I have you, Evo, before we move on to this weekend, I believe you had a couple of points too that you wanted to talk about. I have it written down here: the overabundance of content.
Overabundance of content.
Yeah.
How did I bring that up?
I was asking beforehand if there was anything that anyone wanted to talk about on the podcast today, and I believe you were talking to me outside of Hall of Fame Brutus, obviously, that there was just a lot of content going around in the game today.
Oh, it's just it's mostly to the spending part of it and how much how much they're just hammering the wallet. It's just too much for someone. You don't need to get everything. I understand that argument, but it's just to stay current with the game and to stay on top of the requirements of the game. You kind of do need to keep up a little bit, and it's been really difficult. As someone that tries to achieve all the things, so I just once a month would be good. Every week now it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just kind of hoping they would slow that down a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this month we're literally going to have back-to-back weeks of spending, like 4 in a row or something, right?
Yeah.
Between Black Friday and this thing, whatever this thing is, and the Turtles and Rocky.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Rocky's week 1, Turtles is week 2, Web Portal's week 3. Week 4 is going to be Thanksgiving and the Black Friday week. And I don't remember when Ozzy was, but Ozzy, I don't know if Ozzy was week 5 or week 4.
No, it was the last weekend of the Zombies event, whatever that was.
Yeah, so 5 weeks in a row. 5 incessant weeks of just straight spend events.
And that's not counting the weekends. And granted, we did have the one weekend off with no real event, but that was its own thing.
Yeah, because
it's also not counting the OTC month of 500 a weekend on the portal. If you want to do,
it's been very tough. I know B-Rock was also commenting that it's the the 4th fiscal quarter of the year, which I fully get that and everything. But man, I mean, we've all played this game long enough to know that this year, towards the end, this year's 4th quarter, this has been fierce, like really, really tough.
And to be honest, it amazes me that looking at the spend leaderboards and looking at the leaderboards of these events, community keeps on freaking hitting them. So I mean, who's the dumb ones?
Yeah.
I am. And it is what it is, but it's I don't know how I don't know how we I don't know.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this sick and sinister bonus rewards tab on the portal for the weekend, there are 7 individuals who have maxed it out at 900 or more. Actually, only one person's at 900. Everybody else is over 1,000, including first place over at 1,500. Just some absolutely crazy spending. Also, looking at the American Made event, there was actually 3 people. Looks like somebody else snuck in to get the moment. So 3 people in the entirety of the game got the moment from that portal spend event. And 3 people, like we were talking about 1%, 3 people is about 1% of 1% of the people that play this game. So definitely very, very troublesome in that regard for the people that want to get these items. It's just rough. It really, really is. That being said, anything else in regards to the spending side of things before we move on to the Flash Feuds? Also, for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, hopefully you're enjoying some of the CSS content that I have going on in the background here. But anything else before we move on to the Flash Feuds of the weekend? Alright, let's move on to it. The Sick and Sinister Flash Feuds. I know we briefly touched base in regards to Abby the Witch as a character. We can go a little bit more into some detail in regards to her this time around. Definitely lots going on this weekend for the Flash Feuds. I saw some people get lucky and pull Abby out of the loot, which congrats to those people. I am not going to chase any more than I already did. I did 1 pull. Didn't get her. Did get enough shards for Mercy the Buzzard, however, so was happy that I got to walk away with him heading into the weekend event. There's not really many shards going on this weekend. There's 200 for Mercy in the solo milestones and faction contest, and another 200 in the solo milestones and offers. But there's plenty of his shards in the loot. There's a grand whopping total of 150 Rabbit shards this weekend, 400 Julius Creed shards, and a very intriguing prize wall with some skill plates out there, which include the Let Me Talk to You skill plate, the Barber's Blades, the Princess Flaming Glove, and then more importantly to me, they're bringing back these Rocky skill plates a little bit more often now, which I'm always happy to see. This time around, they brought back the Prey in the Night for the regular skill plates, and then the I Pity the Fool and Unstoppable Force for the ultimate skill plates. Lots of shards going around this time. I know that Muda is on the wall, Muscleman's on the wall, Sherry yet again making her reappearance onto the wall. Again, if you don't have Sherry, definitely worth chasing those shards. I know there's still people out there who don't have her. Julius Creed shards, as we mentioned earlier on, are part of the wall this time around. Roxanne Perez, the MP trainer. So definitely some good stuff on this prize wall for people that need it. Very curious what everybody's thoughts are on the weekend. And I will be very quick in my own feedback and say that while I do not chase feud much anymore these days, it's definitely a letdown to see that the weekend reward for the war score leaderboards for first place on the war scores or the battlegrounds was Mercy the Buzzard instead of Abby the Witch. Just awkward to me personally. But curious what everybody's thoughts are in regards to the weekend, to the prize wall, to Abby the Witch. And I believe that's going to be the end of what we have on the list today.
So, for those that know me, they know I don't have Sherry. And also, people that know me know I've been looking at the prize wall before every Flash Feud because that's usually where I do my best in prize wall activity. So, bad decisions were made. I need all the Sherry charts, all 60 prize wall tokens. So, we got to make this happen this week. I'm sick of people telling me the ideal build for my new zombie Chelsea is Sherry. My new, when we get there, my new Buzzard needs Sherry. And all these other people need Sherry. Everybody needs Sherry. Everybody has multiple gems. So the banner says you can get 15 prize wall tokens if you do the banner thing on the portal. Got to get those. Of course, you do the pulls and there's nothing in there but a few buzzard shards. So I'm about 370 away. And now look at the special event for the weekend, the tour. And they got more prize wall tokens in there, but I gotta get the buzzard done. I gotta get it done now because it ends on Saturday. So we go back to the portal and look at the deal for the 60 shards. We did that too. Still got nothing but minerals. I'm still 100 away almost from the buzzard. So luckily they gave me Joe Gacy at the beginning, so I got 3 of those things to get 100 shards off of the 5-star prize ball. So who cares about 100% trap and the Cody medal? I want this buzzard because I want to get Sherry this week, and it's gonna happen. So I burnt that up, and now I have mercy, just like Jesse from Full House. Have mercy. Got the stuff done. We got 45 prize wall tokens. Only got 15 more to go, and Sherry's coming home. Let's get it.
Well, it sounds like you're walking away with a lot this weekend, Envy.
And it cost everything.
It sounded like there. It sounded like it cost something. That's for sure. Definitely some decisions were made. But hey, you know what? I'm happy that you get to walk away with Sherry. I'm happy that you're gonna hopefully walk away with Roxanne as well. And you also get to pick up Buzzard along the way. Unfortunate that the 100% gem damage strap had to suffer, and the Nightmare Insignia. But a win is a win, right? And I know it's expensive, but it definitely seems like you're walking away with a win this weekend.
I hope so.
Me too.
The real win there was the fact that he made a Jesse from Full House reference. That was fantastic.
Yes. So Sensei, talk to me. Thoughts on the weekend?
This is an odd weekend for me, only because on Wednesday I'm leaving to go to New Jersey for see family for Thanksgiving, and my brother's getting married again. So I had to throw again in there. All right.
You guys get to celebrate that Daniel Jones is no longer the quarterback?
Yeah. Oh no! Stop. I am South Jersey, the real New Jersey. Those North Jersey people. I'm not going to get started there. All right. 15 minutes outside of Philadelphia. All right. Let's not talk about Daniel Jones. All right.
Well,
Yeah. So like, this weekend, I'm there for the weekend, but I'm not really. It's because I got too much to do, and like I'm trying to do this feud, although it's not being very productive.
yeah.
And then I work tonight, so weekends are usually shot for me for feuds as it is.
Yeah. Thoughts on the prize wall? You walking away with anything new? Chasing any shards?
I don't even know how many medallions I'm going to wind up with. I don't know I haven't really usually I'm plugged in, ready to go. I have no idea what I'm going to wind up with. But
not a clue. Fair
yeah,
enough.
and I know I'm not going to get Sherry yet because every time they put up it seems unproductive to buy 25 or 50 shards off a prize wall for Sherry when I need 700. And I know long game and all, I get that. But I'm not completely blind. It's just sometimes it's just in the moment it's tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's ever since she's come out, she's one of those consistent ones, and I'm not, knock on wood. Hopefully, me saying that doesn't just immediately remove her from the prize wall. But she definitely seems to be one of those consistent ones that's made it to prize walls time and time again. So if there's a way, she definitely seems like one that you can walk away with for sure. Anybody else on the weekend stuff? Bunders, Eva, Duck. Any of you interested in talking Flash Feuds with me here?
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much everything on the prize wall unless they put OTC shards out there. It really doesn't help me. It's just going to be econ mostly, and then I just like feuding, so putzing around when I got some free time in feud and figuring out how I'm going to win quickly with Nikita, I guess. So,
are you chasing OTC shards?
I mean, yes or no. I can buy him off the prize wall, but I kind of want to see what Howdy looks like next week before I buy him.
I'm assuming you're talking about the club store?
Portal. Huh?
I'm assuming you're talking about the club store?
Yeah, I could buy him off the club store if I wanted, but I kind of want to see what's coming up first. Like, I don't need OTC at this point, but, like, I'll take him at some point, but he's really the only thing that I'll need that's new. I wouldn't hate another night plate, but that's just so far out of... If I'm not spending this weekend, I'm not going to get that. I think I'm just going to be taking mostly econ and just playing for fun and hoping I bag pull something good from, one of the milestones.
Fair enough. So it seems like another just run-of-the-mill weekend for you.
Yep.
Anything, do you feel any, I guess, I don't want to say better, but do you feel like this is more of an enjoyable weekend than last weekend compared to when we had Showdown with no event?
Yes. I mean, anytime there's something to do in game, it's fun. I generally enjoy playing the game, like the mechanics of the game itself. I enjoy trying to find builds for characters and running it by people and then learning things from, the members of the community, because there's people, I'm well aware there's people smarter out there doing this than I am when it comes to it. So even just seeing what I run against in feud is interesting to me. So having something to do versus Showdown when it was literally there's nothing to do, or I'm just trying to keep up on that stupid ooze event to make sure that, I do enough spend to stay in the top 20 to get Casey that I'm going to use a couple times. It reached a point where it all feels excess to an extent. If we've all got like 2, 3, 4 people by class that we can use for anything, everything else just seems kind of excess at this point. And yeah, not a ton that's needed. It's just more so, the collector in me and the completionist in me that wants a lot of that stuff. So
that's fair. I can respect that. I personally try to use feud as kind of like my playground, so to speak, of trying to see how good some characters are, how hard they hit, how fast they go, things like that. And I think Flash Feud's probably the best, I guess, sandbox game mode, so to speak. Just because there's really not anything crazy to chase after, and in these scenarios you get to have so many different lineups that you can kind of just mess around with a lot of those characters and be able to kind of use that playground aspect to the game. So
yeah, it
hopefully
forces
you're
you
having
to do
that too.
stuff you never would, right? Like, I would never use Nikita Lyons in anything, but I have to use her here in like 5 minutes, and I'm playing with it on my phone while I talk to you guys.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, just like certain people you use in every event, it gets boring. So it's nice having some different people that I'm forced to use and figuring it out, but also trying to do it in a way where I'm quick enough where I'm not slowing somebody else down.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, maybe it's just me where it's lost some luster in regards to the leaderboard chase, but part of that I think has made the game more enjoyable in a certain aspect of just kind of messing around and seeing how strong these characters can be and how effective some of them can move. So definitely very fun. And I think what's actually so funny about this whole thing is it's probably more engaging on the Discord server when you're talking with people about the game than it is just clicking the buttons. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely fun to be able to actually go out there and see, how effective your characters can be, but it's very fun to kind of to shoot the breeze with everybody on Discord and see what they all think about these characters for sure.
I would just like to add that it's taken every ounce of willpower that I have not to take one of my Alexas to 6-star gold just so I can get the top line bonus.
Yeah.
And you know how I am.
Oh yeah. When you have access to it.
Trust me, it's just not worth it. I do.
Not worth
it. Now, listen. I got the coins, damn it. I'm spending them. All right?
Yeah, I saw that. We can also talk about that real quick. I know Bunders and Evo, you haven't had your chance to drop in 2 cents here, but we can also add that in before you guys do. They subject to changed that top line for this feud, where it was any Alexa Bliss, and then on the updated blog they put in parentheses at 6-star gold.
See,
Well, Sensei cut out there, I think.
no, I thought I was gonna say I really like this. Like, I like if I want to, I have the option of picking an Alexa 6-star gold to get the top line bonus instead of praying that I have the one rare woman card that it takes to actually get the top. I prefer, like, now it's going to cost if you want to do it, but I would rather have that option than just be lucky and have it be, say, Naomi.
Yeah, for the 7th feud in a row.
I mean, it is what it is. As a man who has Jinder, Dolph Ziggler, and the original Wade Barrett 6-star gold, who cares? What's another trash card to take 6-star gold? Right? Why not? It's a top line bonus. I have the coins, kinda, because that's been going away lately. Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you were talking about before, I had to look at the prize wall while you guys were talking about it just to get a feel for it, and I saw that, the week-long event prize wall. I'm happy on that. I want to look at our prize wall and say it's pretty bad to me. Honestly, there's nothing on that prize wall that I want or need or can improve my roster. There's no real addition to it other than straps. And to give Scopely credit on that part, straps have been readily available for anyone. The change to genderless has really improved my life with straps. It just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
So there's real no need to chase. The extra 130 strap, I'm not spending $200 to go get $130 strap for an extra 30%. So, if you have it, great, go for it, get it. But this event, I probably a year now. My first mega, I hit the card, which has been forever.
Yeah.
So I'm a little biased in that. I got the card. She's amazing. Dude, that artwork, the artwork and the animation of the glowing mist and the firefly mist or whatever coming off of her, it's so cool. And she looks like, she matches well with Indy in the wedding dresses, like I said before. So they look good top line when you can do it. Other than that, the prize wall lately, the weekend prize walls, even during the zombie event, it feels like uninspired and lazy. Just repetitive stuff. So we'll see. I don't know.
Evo, wasn't it you that was telling me that you have, like, since you're you, don't you have like an option where you can just click yes and it'll just give you the entire prize wall in one click? Don't you have that?
Yeah, not yet. I wish, because like that would have came in handy with the shredder mask prize wall when I had 280,000 shredder masks and nothing to get. So yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, I was not naming people by names, but yeah, there you go. Bunders, take it away. I'm interested to hear your Flash feud commentary.
Yeah, Flash feuds. Well, it is what it is. I mean, I thought it was really harsh on the CSF this time around, especially for newer players. I don't have Sherry, I don't have Nikita Lyons, I don't have Abby the Witch, I don't have Pyro Princess Alexa Bliss. I'm not taking Play of Fame to gold just for the sake of it. There's a lot more I don't have than I do have. Like for this particular Flash feud that's going on right now, I have 0 CSS. So it makes it a lot more challenging to be able to get to even 200 million in War Score, let alone 300 million. So it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. There'll be other Flash feuds where I have more CSS. So I don't really have too many thoughts on it. Flash feud, I'll forever be sort of annoyed, if you like, because the times for European people is absolutely ridiculous, in all honesty, to have one Flash feud start at 2 a.m. and finish at 10 a.m. and then the next night 2 a.m. till 8 a.m. What are they expecting? How is that realistic to expect people to do that? But yeah, that's all I really got to say about The flash view, sorry.
No, nothing to apologize about. Yeah, it seems like it's just another run of the mill event, to put it real kindly. The one, I guess, last thing before we wrap up the podcast here, and we all kind of left our commentary on the Flash feuds. Does anybody feel that these stretch milestones that they have included for these shard bags, the style shard bags that give you 50,000 to 200,000 B tier shards, is that enough to make you all want to go above and beyond in hitting that 300 mil or even that 250 mil or even further than either of those, chasing leaderboards for more of those bags? Is that enough for anybody? And I'm not saying first place on the leaderboards, but like even top 100 on the battlegrounds, like is any of that a game changer for anyone here?
Not for me, no. I don't really. I mean, yeah, those shards will get used on somebody else, but it's not enough to incentivize me to pop it. And I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. I mean, really, the only one that has any value for the weekend is rank 1. If you don't have Mercy, but if you're chasing, you probably do. So yeah, that not for me.
Fair enough.
Since this is my first feud with actual people playing hard the whole time, this is my first chance to even see if I can hit it. So I just want to see if I can do it. And once I do it, the motivation isn't really that the milestone's there. What I'm getting is just seeing if I can do it. I'm not really a top feuder anymore, although I pretend to be sometimes.
Sure. So
It's going to happen 'cause I'm going heavy. I'm going heavy every single feud.
So the motivation isn't so much the rewards as much as it is a personal desire to see if you can do it.
Yeah.
How many of the CSS are you missing, Envy?
Oh, a ton of them. I missed 2 in the first, I missed 2 in the second. I have Mercy, but I think I'm missing several in the back end too. I don't have Bray. I don't have a lot of people.
So this is going to be a real climb for you in regards to how much you're going to need to probably spend time-wise if you're trying to hit the 300 mil.
Probably, but we're gonna see if it happens. I'm almost halfway there.
Well, for those of you listening on YouTube, tune into the next podcast to see if Envy hits his 300 mil or not. We'll talk about that then. Bunders, your take on the shards?
Yeah, they're pretty much out of reach for me. As soon as you don't have CSS, and I obviously have no feud promoters because I've been playing long enough to build shards for them, it pretty much makes them out of reach. So my target is 200 million, and hopefully I'll get there.
And calling it a weekend there, fair enough. And Evo, I'm pretty sure that I know your answer on this one, but your take on the boards for the shards?
I'm an idiot. I'm gonna go chase it because it's a challenge, and I like to complete challenges for no other reason other than a challenge. But I mean, you want shards? I give you mine. I have more than the amount of crap I pull. I have shards for forever. So no, it's no incentive whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. You're kind of in the same boat as Envy, where it's a personal challenge. It has nothing to do with the actual reward side of things. Well, I think that's going to be it for this podcast, everybody. So unless anyone else has anything else to say, I want to send a huge shout out and thank you to everyone for pulling up a chair. Massive thank you to Bunders once again for providing us the insight as someone that hasn't played for even a full year yet. Always appreciated. Evo, thank you once again for helping us out. Shout out to the electricians at your home who are pretending to do a better job than you could when we all know that they can't. Sensei, massive thank you. I know you were a little bit late this time, but as always, very happy to have you on as well. There's always room at the table, even if you're showing up just a little bit late. Glad to have you on here. Duck, massive thank you for your first appearance as well. Sincerely appreciate the insight that you have provided to everybody today. Looking forward to hopefully having you on some future podcasts as well, if you want to hop on and if you had a fun day today. And as always, Envy, thank you. Keep us all updated. Next podcast in regards to your 300 million chase with Mr. Have Mercy himself.
Oh yeah, and I forgot one thing.
Okay, go for it. Take us out.
I want to say happy birthday to my mom.
Hey, happy birthday to Envy's mom. Well, that'll be it for the Roundtable Podcast, Volume 5. Much love to everybody for showing up. Much love to everyone for hanging on out. And we will see you all in a couple of weeks for Volume 6. We'll have plenty to talk about then. More about the Thanksgiving event, the Black Friday event, most likely some commentary in regards to Uncle Howdy as well. And if my understanding is right, that'll be a feud weekend as well. No idea if it's a 20-hour, if it's a flash feud, or if it's going to be like those 2 16-hour feuds or whatever the heck it was that time. But if there's a feud ongoing during the podcast and you are watching this on YouTube, you will most likely see some more feuding in the background like you are right now. So thank you all for joining on in, and have a good one, everybody. Thank you.